Busio again on these roams in the early stages to really solidify those leads for KC. And Yike taking some of the most, in my eyes, risky plays that really came up clutch for KC as well. It was a stellar performance from the trio on KC.
It really was. Really impressed by them overall. We'll see what they can do as we get into Game 4 draft. G2 picked first pick, KC picked red side, so for the first time today, we will see a normal solo queue draft. Like, blue side will have first pick.
This was game 1, Medic.
We will see for the second time today a normal solo queue draft. Aurora and Aphelios banned away by G2. KC going to get rid of the Azir. With the trend that is happening in this pick ban, Annie has to be the next ban here because we're going through all the A's.
Yeah, it was played today by Jovi, so that means that the entire mid lane pool is picking it up right now.
That's true, that's true. Varus instead, where we are going to go with that ban. And we'll see where G2 decide to go with their third. First time they've had first pick through this whole series. A reminder, we are in Fearless. That means all of those champions above the draft on your screen cannot be played again. They've already been played once. Lulu, the ban by G2.
So, 80 carries.
Yunara.
Yunara indeed.
Oh, good job. Yeah, nice call actually. Yeah.
That is a scary champ. Are they going to ban that, KC? You going to ban that?
I feel like you have to. I feel like you have to. Is that where KC are going to say, we'll give it to you. Nico the ban. G2, you got to feel, it's just the preemptive first pick here.
Is it the devil's fruit, is the question. Does it look too supple? Perhaps it is a trap that has been laid. Nope, they're just going to take a big old chunk of that, all right.
There we are. That little bite of the fruit. Nothing went wrong with that, let's be honest. KC will look to dive into it.
Yeah, Rakan is available. It looks like that is the direction that KC's considering with Yike's Vi. Now, Yike does have a bit of stigma around his Vi, but his Vi was awesome yesterday. And so far in playoffs, it's been a pretty strong pick for him. So he's definitely getting away from that stigma. The response now, though, it was G2 that banned the Lulu away themselves, which means that what else can they pair alongside? Bard is gone. Nami's gone, there's no Lulu. Is it like, do you forego enchanters and then instead just pick something melee?
Oh, no, there we go.
You go for a different enchanter.
Interesting. Right. So Renata is good into the Rakan, but like, traditionally, I feel like you want something for Yunara that's like more enabling her attack speed. So at least you do get some sort of enchanter with her. But I think it is just more a case of, rather than the actual pairing, playing for the dive that is coming through on KC.
That's the thing. I think Renata just works so well into dive. And you've already got Zhao, who also works well into dive because he can use that Crescent Guard to reset the fight. Keeping the Yunara safe and then having that disengage the Xayah, no real surprises that KC have decided to lock that in for their third pick. But I really like the Renata. I think, as you say, it does kind of work okay into the Rakan. It's not the best. Rakan can find good flanks, and assuming he doesn't come from straight on and the Vi is coming from a different sort of pincer movement, it's hard for the Renata to immediately just lock someone out of the fight.
Yeah, I think it's just more in the lane if Rakan goes for the grand entrance. I've seen the handshake.
Yeah, you can handshake it out. 100% agree. 100% agree.
But I am now curious as to what do you pair with the Vi in the mid lane? Because like there's so many of those picks that I kind of traditionally see with the Vi that are already taken away. Like Azir banned, Talia gone, and a lot of those champions that can follow up effectively with her engage are already gone.
Carly.
Honestly, is kind of where my head was at. But I think it depends on the matchup, right?
Yeah, you can't really blind it. It depends how confident KC feels about flexing it to top lane. But there's no real needs. With Sion and Cassante gone.
Sion isn't gone yet.
Renekton?
Now it's gone, okay. Yeah, sorry, I was looking at the different screen, the one that the audience... My bad. Cannon banned away.
The Cannon ban is surprising to me, because if I'm G2, I feel like that's good for me. Like, I've already got a lot of things I want to dive in on top of me, and Cannon kind of works well in that scenario. But maybe they're trying to open up for like a Gnar for Broken Blade. Maybe they're an Renekton.
LeBlanc, someone that can match the damage from the Vi and close the gap.
From kyeahoo during the regular season.
He played really well on it, but he did end up losing.
Yeah, he built like a 50 CS lead. Okay, they're just going to go mega safe. All right, Viktor, I mean, it's fine. Right now, the Rakan is the main follow-up on the Vi. With Ambessa gone, that's kind of one of the key combos I consider when paired alongside the Vi. So, yeah, right now they don't really have a huge amount of dive. They're playing very kind of front to back, and they've gotten rid of 2 of the biggest tanks. So I'm curious as to how Casey's going to round this one out.
Also curious where Broken Blade's going to go towards the top side, because the start of Casey's comp is looking dive, right? That Vi, Rakan, Renekton is the lock here for BB.
So now it's like a Gnar, right?
Yeah, probably a Gnar from Canna.
And then Caps into Viktor. I mean, you probably just pick something. Well, I was thinking Syndra, but Syndra into Rakan Vi is really not fun.
Very low mobility on that mid laner.
So, I mean, I'm not gonna lie things out with a Gnar here. On paper, at least initial impressions, I do prefer what KC have brought to the table. I think that they would have a winning top side. I think that they would have easy plays around mid. Of course, Syndra can be super oppressive into a Viktor if you're given that proper jungle support.
Yeah.
But I think that it's going to be Busio that has more roaming power on the Rakan, which we've seen. It's just like the winning formula for KC. Get Busio out on the map. Get him helping Yike set up plays. That is the formula for success when it comes to KC.
Yeah, I agree with you, Betty. I think for what KC have drafted is really effective. And it kind of feels like for G2, they went for this attempted anti-dive. Like Syndra can at times play well with trying to get the scatter of the weaks as the rest of the dive tries to follow up on something like Yike. Same with Renekton being enabled as teams jump into them. But it does mean that they're heavily reliant on trying to catch people with that Syndra stun combo to try and start fights, which is never really the best when you've already got a good amount of range with things like that Viktor on the opposite side.
Do you know what I think, now that I've had a little bit more time to think about it, I think GT should have considered something like Ivern. Like Ivern plus the Yunara and make her the hyper carry when you've got Ivern plus Renata. But at the end of the day, we're in this draft now. We'll see if we go to a game 5, what direction we'll get. But right now, I do quite like the tools that KC have. And I just want to echo that sentiment that the desk shared earlier in the day, which is that KC look the best when they have the tools to make plays.
Yeah.
And their argument on the desk was that in game 1 and game 2, they didn't really have any tools. And a lot of that was because G2 shut them down in their response to the draft. But in game 3, we saw KC have the ability to make things happen on the map. And in game 4, I think they've drafted in a way that can do the same. Can they find those same opportunities against G2 again, though? Because G2, I mean, they've never been reverse swept in a finals, and they're not looking to start today.
Once more into the breach for G2 and KC. For KC, the end of a long weekend. 8 games before today, now cresting over 11 into their 12th in 3 days. For G2, they played 3. Gotta say something for being a little bit more rested. Came into the series very hot. Able to get those early kills. SkewMond here sneaking in towards the blue. Might just look for the steal. Could go for a split map, trying to isolate this Xayah and Rakan away from the rest of their team. It's Spellbook Rakan with the exhaust to start.
I wonder if it does get sniffed out, though, by KC, because they do have a ward over by the Raptors. And maybe able to kind of sniff out that, oh, we haven't actually seen the Zhao. Maybe he is trying to go for some sort of split map.
I think the other risk is 2-camp gank, 3-camp gank. Like, SkewMond just immediately runs towards bot after getting these 3 camps.
Here's the other thing. Right now, Yike is thinking to himself, oh, well, he's doing a full topside clear. Yep. So the likelihood of him even threatening an invade is very low. Meanwhile, SkewMond is clearing out these bot side camps. And as you said, that bot side gank, I mean,
on the Xayah.
Given the wave state, I think it's going to be a very difficult gank to pull off.
Also, it's the exhaust and Rakan as well, which makes it even more difficult to try and manage
that's a good point, yeah.
Caliste and Busio stepping back. Rakan level 1, not the most powerful, especially into a range support like the Renata.
Labrov faked going across the place. Oh, actually, he has the sweeper. I was going to say, it looked like he faked going across the place of ward, just to maybe give it a little bit more of the ruse here. But Yike now going to spot out that his bot side is gone.
Yeah, so SkewMond will path towards, you can see actually the ping now coming out on the Razorbeaks from KC being like, oh, he should be here by now. Now the question marks coming out from KC. Will Yike look for an invade? SkewMond's going to start up his Razorbeaks, has the smite. Yike could try and cross. Would be difficult for him. SkewMond holding the smite here.
Look at BB, though. He's roaming down towards mid lane. They want to try and fight this as a group.
SkewMond able to get a few of the Razorbeaks there. Tick to 15. Kyeahoo stepping forward. Caps looking for the scatter. We can't land it. Kyeahoo's now burned his flash. And BB's on the way across. The Viktor has nowhere to go. And G2 strike first. Cleanse coming out from Caliste's. Summer is exhausted. 2 summoners burned for none on the side of G2.
G2 with some really creative plays in the early stages. The invade working out, but that roam, using that timer by Broken Blade to get the play on mid and set this up with Kyeahoo. Hang on.
Dodges away from the scatter. The weak. Caps might have to flash the wall here. Kyeahoo on the chase, and Caps a little greedy with his positioning there.
Yeah, I mean, an absolute misplay from Caps. He doesn't actually connect the stun onto Kyeahoo, which allows Kyeahoo to chase him down. He's forced to flash away. Now, Yike getting to soak up some of the XP in mid lane helps him a little bit, but not to the point at which he can really come back. The TP will come through from Caps. Yike has gained information, but he realizes he cannot stick around, so he's going to be extremely far behind his jungle counterpart.
If he tabbed and looked at the CS though, he should be able to tell, hang on, that bottom scuttle wasn't taken. So maybe looking to, oh, actually I was going to say, look, go for it, but just going to reset, spend his money, and then go back in towards his, well, I was going to say on the top side, but may want to just cover the bot side in case of a repeat.
Busio and Caliste using the combined recall there to get out that a little bit quicker. Busio making sure the wave does crash in. There'll be a Sheen first here for Caliste. Essence Reaver, his most likely build path on this Xayah. You are pretty mana hungry on the Xayah.
So insult to injury would have been for SkewMond to be ready on the Wolves respawn.
Yeah.
But by clearing his top side out, he's decided that it's not worth it. Both supports are hovering around in the river. Busio was a player we wanted to keep our eyes on, but it looks like he's going to contest these Raptors instead. Smite's available for both junglers.
Both the supports are across here. Caps looking for the knockback. Busio able to dodge away. SkewMond goes in, steals away one of the Razorbeaks. Busio here can battle dance around, knock up with a Q3. Labrov with a good handshake for the stun. Yahoo still no flash, remember, but no CC for G2 to lock him up, as he is chunked out once again.
Credit to Yahoo, the way he spaces his way through the fights.
Caliste is moving as well.
They don't know he's there.
Caps puts a ward in. Caliste flashes looking for the root, can't land it. Ain't great. Scatter the weak, pulls him back, a handshake to follow. Thank you very much, we'll take your flash.
Caliste thought he had the play, but couldn't get the feathers into the position that he wanted to. And now it's just so much burned by KC, trying to help out Yike on what's been a disastrous early game for him.
Ooh, level 6, level up.
Wallop out for the stun. Canna has to back away. Already hit 6, used the Gnar. Was fearful of the Dominus. Broken Blade has already had a recall where Canna hasn't actually gone back to base at all yet.
So, level 5 secured for SkewMond. He knows that the Dragon is going to be uncontested. Yahoo not strong enough. They don't have the push in bot. There's no way for Casey to really challenge this. And Yike desperately needs camps. He's behind in XP. He's behind in gold. He's just behind in general. And he's got to get what he can get while his camps are available.
Yeah, it's also Caliste who has... hang on a sec.
Great handshake stun there again. Summer putting the damage in.
But yeah, it's also Hans Sama who was able to pick up a nice little lead for himself when it comes to the CS department because Caliste tried to roam up, and now they're just being able to zone away. Caliste and Busio will be able to get another turret plate off this wave crash too, so starting to open up a nice little bit of a gold lead here.
Gold leads across the board for G2. And Canna immediately proves me wrong by getting a couple of CS up towards the top side. Only minimal in support and top, but mid and jungle for G2 once again ahead. That's something we saw in the first 2 games of the day. Summer here trying to hold that wave, so it pushes towards him, and AC really can't do too much about it.
Caliste is going to be forced to go back to base. The wave is in an unfortunate spot. Top laners just continue to trade. But overall, G2 looking solid in this early game. Grubs will be something that neither team has really put a huge amount of priority on. I think Grubs are just a mega weak objective right now, and teams are quite happy to just trade 1 for 2 and just let it be what it be. But all these Raptors contested once again by SkewMond. I love that this weekend, junglers in Europe, I feel like have gotten so good at just focusing on stealing camps away from their opponents. And I mean, earlier in the day, game 2, I think it was, like so much of the game was determined based on just fights over these camps of the enemy jungler. And I love seeing that because it kind of changes the dynamic of the game, and it doesn't just make it about grouping up a dragon, forcing a fight. It becomes a lot more about navigating a way through skirmishes, being in the right place at the right time. And I think both these teams have shown strengths and weaknesses in this department.
Dominus out from Broken Blade here, just trying to chip away at Canna. Caps with the Scat of the Week onto kyeahoo, but the Arcane Storm chunks him out a ton. Caps going for the Lucidity Boots here on the Syndra, just for those extra spell casts, extra ability haste.
The fact that kyeahoo's getting this much control, though, is actually a bit of a benefit for Yike. His ping's going down onto that top crab. And I'm curious if Yike wants to try and make something happen up there. Will be a little while, though.
As call it out. Exhaust as well on Hansama. He's got a bailout on him in case he was chunked out, but SkewMond's on his way across. Caliste has the Feather Storm. Busio has the Flash, and immediate back away from G2. Didn't want to go any further for that fight.
You'll notice as well that while Yike has been able to secure a couple more of his camps, the experience gap hasn't really shifted. The gold's still very much in SkewMond's favor, but for now, nothing too insurmountable. It's caps where a lot of the lead is sitting for the time being, thanks to that first blood that he was able to get off the back of a nice play from G2 in their entirety. G2 holding on to about a 1.2k gold lead, but again, based on what we've seen from KC just in the last game, we know that this doesn't mean a huge amount to them. They're very creative at finding ways back into the game, and I'm excited to see what Busio can do on the Rift. Level 6 is coming through for him very soon. He can just move over towards mid, soak up a bit of extra XP, start grouping up with Yike, and start making plays on the map. Let's see if they can pull any of those off.
SkewMond going to start up these grubs. The second neutral of the game for G2 if they can find it. Caps stunned up in the gravity field, but not really much doing. Labrov still needs another minion for 6. Busio clips over to it now, has that quickness. Labrov with a good handshake. Scat of the Week, Forcer will. Caps building up that passive. Needs to get to 120 of those Splinters of Wrath. You can see 48 on the bottom corner for all of your spells upgraded and the extra AP.
Busio roamed down to this bottom side, though, which allowed Caliste to pull the wave. So they're setting up kind of a nice freeze for KC in this bottom side. Now Labrov has to roam back down to cover. So Busio sneaking in behind, putting some pressure on mid here with Yike.
There's only a single grub for G2. Caliste, loyalty program, look at the handshake, gets the pull back. The cleanse used, and Caliste still has the Feather Storm, looks closer than it was. His flash only just came back off cooldown after the fight had concluded. Now he's forced away. Hansama will be looking for this plate. Caliste was able to pick one up earlier. Canna about to go mega. Broken Blade goes in. Gnar back. Wallop for the CC chain. Chuck a house at him. Dominus out from Broken Blade, but really just to dissuade Canna more than anything else. Yike is looking for a red buff invade, but isn't able to go any further. Busio stops the recall of Hansama in the bottom lane.
Just wanted to get a ward down, it looks like, for the Krug camp. So Yike can spot out exactly where SkewMond was going to be. Caps taking a decent amount of damage. But a huge amount of this is, again, just kind of like battling back and forth for small advantages. Like, do we have vision to try and play aggressive? Busio trying to interrupt now, but might get himself caught as Labrov coming over.
Hansama, I mean, Busio, it's the long-range battle dance. As Caliste does step in, looks for the Blade Caller route, lands it.
But the Dragon started there because Hansama's low, so even though KC don't really get much, get any damage really done, it's going to be the Dragon for them.
Nice play overall from the KC bottom lane. Busio.
He's a long way away from friends. Quickness has to be used. Often you think on Rakan, you can do these sorts of plays. You have so much mobility. But when you jump in, immediately you're met by 2 members of the enemy team. Yeah, sometimes you just need to use the quickness to get the hell out of dodge.
But hey, Dragon secured. KC aren't going to be too upset about that. SkewMond, though, wants to go back to his lovely holiday home, which is Yike's jungle. Will secure the Gromp, steal away another camp. And you can see that camp advantage continues to get bigger. G2 holding on to their very solid lead as we find ourselves in a very timid early game. I wonder what's going to be that turning point. Role quest now will begin to be completed. Another nice handshake. Labrov landing a bunch of good ones so far in this game.
No quickness on Busio, but SkewMond just here to cover to make sure that Yike hadn't somehow snuck his way into that tri-bush. Caps looking for the top side. Canna about 2/3 HP. Broken Blade low as well. Dominus up in 6. Canna only half on his Mega Gnar. Yike coming across. Caps will be met by Yike, who holds the Vault Breaker, but Forcer will flash, cease and desist. Broken Blade's going to look to see if he can just delete Yike, and he can! Yike thought he had it. Kyeahoo's on his way across. Canna building up the Mega Gnar. SkewMond trying to get here in time. The Gnar into the wall. The wind becomes lightning, and Canna has to flash away, but SkewMond chases him for days. A flash away from kyeahoo. Windbreaker Lightning hits again. Featherstorm out. Blade Caller not used yet by Caliste. In the end, able to dodge away from that hostile takeover.
Such a heavy commitment from Yike to that skirmish. There was no Mega Gnar for Canna. It was very difficult for him to follow. And, oh, Hansama, he ults onto Busio.
Yeah, Busio's fine. Can walk this one out.
He's able to ghost away thanks to the spellbook. But KC, they hand another 2 kills over to G2. Oh,
Flash quickness immediately engage here with the barrier, though Hansama still very safe. Caliste has flash of his own and has to use it to get away from Labrov. The TP coming in from Caps. As G2 might just look to force the KC bot lane away from their tower. They're going to do exactly that. Caps doesn't have the unleashed power, so no real threat to the kill here.
The early laning phase looked a little tough for Caps, but once he picked up that kill, has really opened up these leads. The kill now shifting towards top of SkewMond.
Caught out by Yike and by Canna. Didn't expect him to be here. Crescent Guard down. Yike holding on to the Vault Breaker's gonna look for it, but the Scatter the Weak stops the channel. Canna chunks a house at SkewMond but can't connect with it. In the end, G2 will be able to walk away.
The timing on the Crescent Guard was perfect from SkewMond. Denies the grand entrance from Busio. And as you called it, the Scatter the Weak after. Just picture perfect G2 step away on what could have been a dicey play.
I mean, this sequence was really bad for KC. Not only does their bot lane get forced back and they lose a ton of farm, Hansama gets another play, gets his recall off before Caliste does. So he's back out onto the map before the enemy AD carry who just got zoned away from bot lane. Because of the heavy investment into the bot side, Broken Blade is then left isolated top, who then grows his lead to about 800 on the top side. And what was a 2.2k gold lead expands to a 3k. G2 leading kills. Grubs, I mean, Grubs are honestly whatever. Dragon spawning in about a minute and a half, but G2 slowly but surely are building up a lead. The KC are struggling to stop.
Oh, Labrov caught out here though by Yike. With the gravity field down, Labrov just doesn't get a chance to move.
And as you say it, it's this mid-jungle combo again for KC, but Broken Blade looking for an all-in. I don't think it's really going to amount to anything, just some trading the spells.
As soon as the wallop hits and then you have the boulder toss to follow it up, I'm pretty sure Broken Blade knew he wasn't going to be able to close that gap. Trying to use the fact he's finished his Stride Breaker first to get that damage down onto Canna.
Again, though, we're seeing this kind of fallback plan from KC, though. When things get dire, just try and play around kyeahoo. I mean, in the Viktor, he can definitely be a carry. But now, can they cover top?
BB with the dominance, Yike clearing out the Krugs. BB dodging away with the slice and dice, but Yike's still on the chase. No flash for him. BB trying to get onto Canna. Can't really get close enough. Hit by the wallet, followed by the Vault Breaker. The slice, the dice. BB escapes!
They tried to gift the kill over to Canna. And just like that, BB gets out.
Canna had no Mega Gnar. Like, he went Mega Gnar, but he had no Gnar to actually use in the fight. So there was very little he could do to contribute. So there was this awkward standoff where it was basically just Yike versus Broken Blade because Canna was way too low. He's able to buy enough time to bring the E back up and get away to safety. Broken Blade gets to tower, gets away, and G2 get the first tower of the game. A scary position for KC to be in. Dragon in 8 seconds. The recalls, that's the word I was looking for. The recalls coming through mean they're not going to be in a good position. They've got some wards littered, but SkewMond looks like he's making a beeline towards that objective.
And BB going in, once again, a 2-level lead over Canna at this very moment. Canna is about to take over to 12. A TP out, avoids the Gnar, dodges, as well pings Yike on his way.
It looked like he patted him on the shoulder as he sent him out the door. I cannot believe that didn't hit, but it's perfect for G2. Herald mid will get the tower, will get the position on Dragon, and they just get to rinse and repeat.
I mean, G2 are really just running circles around KC right now. They're using the strength of their laners to punish their opponents. They're taking advantage of the early jungle lead that SkewMond was able to build, and now they're just kind of dancing around and punishing every play that KC tried to make. KC, they need to slow the game down. They need to get a little bit more of a foothold, because if they let things continue the way they are, things are going to be very dangerous as Caps. He walks away to safety.
That was the quickness. Busio ulted there.
Yeah.
And Caps just like, cool. Like, I'll get knocked up and I'll walk away. Cool. That's not usually what you see from Busio. Perhaps he was the one being caught. We didn't quite see the start of the play. But Odoamne on cooldown for about 75% more of its time. Tower in the mid lane for G2. SkewMond's going to take away the Scuttle Crab. Yike has snuck behind him. Canna's on the way across as well. SkewMond, Smite comes out, he gets the Scuttle. Canna trying to get across here. Yike already knocked up and he doesn't win the trade. He's 2 levels down. SkewMond's blocking the Vault Breaker and Yike has to burn the flash. SkewMond follows with the flash of his own. BB punching down onto Canna too. He's forced away. Yike down. Canna almost follows suit.
Jungle versus jungle, top versus top. G2 get the better of both roles. The fact that KC even tried to contest that, a questionable play from Yike. He's forced to retreat immediately. And again, it is in these moments that G2 just getting the better of their opponents.
And with that, SkewMond will steal away more on this top side, will make Yike even more uncomfortable. And now, you just put this pressure bot lane. Like, that's the last remaining outer turret. And with that, it feels like GT kind of secure themselves position for Dragon in 3 minutes. They'll finish off these second items. They are in such a strong spot with this 4.5k gold lead.
In game 2, the plays that KC made were working. They were getting kills. They were slowing the game down. They were removing options away from G2. But this time around, they're not. They've gone top lane twice, and it's failed both times. They haven't been able to kill Caps. They can't really find any play on the map. And look at SkewMond and BB. Oh, the Bash Bros are looking for a brawl.
Yike getting chased out. kyeahoo now stuck under his tower. Hunsummer walking away from Caliste. Can dash as well with the Canna steps. He escapes Caliste's clutches.
I mean, this feels desperate, Medic.
It truly is desperation.
Flash from Caliste, ulti from Busio. Hans just has to ult in response and walk away. Now the threat of a dive in bot lane is very real.
kyeahoo uses the Arcane Storm to try and clear the way, but G2 do not need the minions to dive.
It feels like G2 looked at 2025 and said, you know what, not winning everything just isn't good enough. Coming into LEC Versus, this is a statement, and they want more.
KC are being corralled. G2 are hunting, and it's Caps at the forefront. Vault Breaker from Yike diving towards Caps. The hostile takeover doesn't clip Busio. He's separated from his team, but he can battle dance away. In the end, the TP just leads to KC scattering.
Yeah, the TP looked scarier than it was because Caps had no ult.
I thought it was BB, and that sounded scarier.
That absolutely would have been. But yeah, a bit of an ambitious play there from Caps. They really had no resources, no ulti on Caps, no ulti on Broken Blade. There wasn't much of a play there. At the very least, they forced KC back. They alleviated some pressure in mids, but the goal just continues to grow. KC's running out of options, and every desperate play they tried to make falls apart.
Next Drake, 90 seconds away, would be G2's sole point. 2 items though, for Caliste, for KC. Perhaps they can put the weight of expectation on the shoulders of Le Petit Prince. Perhaps they can find a way for Caliste to carry.
I think if Caliste still had his flash, maybe. But being flashless against things like the Syndra stun, the Renekton, like, yes, you got cleanse in your ult, but it still plunks you right back down in the middle of all that danger. But Busio still sitting top, looking to just make some sort of pick on towards side lanes. Again, you're seeing that KC spirit. They don't want to just give up and lie down. They will keep fighting every step of the way.
KC at such a disadvantageous position. They need to find a pick of some kind. But I look at the levels, I look at the gold. Things are not looking good. Yike is 2 full levels behind SkewMond right now.
We said this in game 3 though. Yes, it was a different portion of the game, but in game 3 we were like, it's done. This Pantheon is way too far ahead for KC to be able to find a way to fight back, but they found it and they fought. And here they must do the same. Not quite a miracle, but something, a close approximation to one. 5,000 gold behind. Drake up in 10. Looks like KC might be giving this one up. You can see Yike pathing to the Hex Gates towards the top side. A couple of pings towards the Baron. Perhaps a sneak is an opportunity, perhaps just vision their goal for now.
I think it's just try and get as much gold into their hands as possible. I mean, kyeahoo, while he is still nearly 800 gold behind, is actually in an okay spot with 2 items completed. The upgraded Merc threads as well means that he'll be relatively good against Caps' all-in.
Busio, exhaust on Hunsummer. Okay, just forces the ultimate out of Hunsummer and then battle dances his way away. Wind becomes lightning, does not connect. The spear just missing Busio's toes.
Seen a couple plays from Busio now where he just drops the exhaust down. I thought he was trying to threaten more of a play with his jungler right behind him, but seems as though he's just looking to get ready to use that Unsealed Spellbook.
Yeah, and I think that's why having access to the Unsealed Spellbook, you can just rotate through these spells very quickly. And maybe there's a window with Handsama's ult down and you can do something, but you can see how quickly that's back up. It's just fish for anything in this sort of situation.
Guys, you don't kill Broken Blade.
Big collapse onto Broken Blade. Yike goes for it. Caliste on his way across. Dominus pop. Broken Blade dashes out. And yep, you are correct, Vedi. They together do not kill Broken Blade.
I mean, 4 of them might have been enough. And I think it was smart of Broken Blade not to... Like, if there was a world where a cross-mat could have been an option, I think he would have actually taken that fight. Yeah. I think he would have said, you know what, I'll take the challenge. If you commit 4 people to me, my team's going to get a tower or something. But there was nothing really to play for on the map. So instead, he just chose to commit the ult, get away to safety. He's close to level 16. 3rd point in the ulti will put him in a very good position. But I mean, what else is there to say is, right now, G2, the gold just continues to go up. The gap continues to grow. The jungle gap especially, that is a 3-level difference now. SkewMond is completely making fun of Yike here in this game.
Yeah, and I think it makes a lot of sense that this G2 is doing so well. Their core has been together for such a long period of time. When you look at Broken Blade, Caps, and Hansama, they have played over 1,100 days together. That synergy means something, but Labrov has to flash.
Flashes away. Busio looks to engage. Yike there for the follow-up, and that is Hansama down. Broken Blade joins the fight. Busio tries to dance away and manages to do so. The Gnar gets 2. Crescent Guard out from G2, and they're the ones flashing away. They're the ones retreating. Broken Blade dices. And KCF sliced through the AD carry. Is it now a Baron play? Caps still has ult.
A single moment was all it took. KC found a pick on the Hans, and now they've set their sights on the Baron. G2 are TPing back in.
BB has the TP and his ultimate. The Baron down to 7,000. KC, one roll of the dice. Is it snake eyes? Is it double sixes? Yike in there, goes in with the Vault Breaker. Broken Blade trying to force him out. He's gone. Yike no longer in the pit. Broken Blade with the bailout. SkewMond takes it. The only power to Yike. Puts him in the dirt as Caps chases Busio out, even flashing for the kill on the Rakan. The Baron to G2 will sit on Hansama and Labrov. Caps will fall to kyeahoo, who will be able to chase him out, but 2 Barons to G2 in a fight they just shouldn't have won.
They shouldn't have, but they all die. Apart from Hansama, the Baron doesn't
on the Labrov.
Sorry, Labrov, but like, okay, so in the fight, great engage from Busio and Hansama. The man does not get a chance to react. And after Canna getting this double knock into the wall was huge, as Busio is just about able to escape. This was the moment that KC needed, and while the Baron did go down, shutdowns galore went to KC. The gold lead is dwindling.
So Yike has to make a difficult decision. Do I stay in the pit or do I get out? SkewMond takes the Hex Gate and uses it to get into the pit. We're back to live already.
This will be the last Baron buff for G2, and he doesn't have flash. Burns it before the previous play. The win becomes lightning. Busio looking for the follow-up. KC continue to fight.
How the hell are KC finding these plays? One game was enough, but another game in game 4 where they are holding on to the brink of this.
It's crazy to think that Caliste's feathers was the start of this cascading effect. A single pick onto Hansama ballooned into a Baron play, which while they did not secure it, gave them a massive injection of gold. And look at that gold difference. 1.6k the lead for Caliste, Infinity Edge, Essence Reaver, and the Navori all completed. The man is online. The gold difference reduced by 3,500 gold. KC are not done just yet.
30 seconds until Dragon. The interrupt onto Hansama. He can't get back. Canna might be able to keep him operating in that top lane and TP into the fight as well. So KC keeping up the pressure still. And G2, how do they hold?
Caps has hit the magical 120 Splinters of Wrath. Has everything upgraded and that extra AP behind it. 3 items now on Hansama, matching Caliste in terms of full completed items. But the gold lead has shrunk to 1,000, negligible at this point. TP to the mid lane by kyeahoo. Yike in the pit, Canna looking for the flank. G2 haven't warded. but Broken Blade will act as a bodyguard. kyeahoo puts a laser through them. Canna building up that Mega Gnar. Almost has it. The charm, the quickness, the hostile takeover only landing onto Busio, disengaging the fight. And KC could do that too. Canna could look for the flash Gnar here. G2 are up against the wall. The Drake for KC secured. No soul yet for G2. They try and gain control of the mid lane wave. They're forced back by KC.
I mean, the bot side camps are going to be enough for Yike. He's like, I need gold, I need XP. I'm going to take anything that I can take. He's going to steal away the red buff. The fight doesn't explode, but I don't think that KC's upset about that. He will, at the very least, get his red buff, but a dragon denied away, the soul denied from G2. And KC, they've bought themselves more time. This whole game, they've been looking for a way to slow G2 down. Would this be the accelerator? Canna's trapped.
Jumps across, SkewMond goes in, kind of building up towards that Mega Gnar. Nars gets the stun on SkewMond. Yike coming in for a follow-up play. Canna's still pretty healthy. He's going to flash away from Hunt Summer to the Crescent Guard, keeping SkewMond safe for now. Hunt Summer flashes forward, and KC begin to disengage. The Scatter the Weak from Canna does not find its mark. The G2 still find the kill.
Canna stays too long on that bottom side, and that handshake from Labrov took him away from the safety of that Hextech portal. Caliste can still get the mid-wave, and at least that's some gold into KC.
Whew. Okay, what felt like a foregone conclusion has now turned into a very interesting situation. KC's continuing to scale up. 3 items finished for kyeahoo. Of course, Caps with the gold lead in that mid lane matchup. 5 kills on the Syndra, but their items, they're the same.
Yep.
So KC have been able to close a really important gap. GA now finished for Canna. Once Yike gets that item completed as well, these fights will become very close indeed. A single pick has completely swung the game. G2 from such a dominant position, ultimately throwing this lead. Baron, a minute 20. A single fight is all it takes.
Credit to KC for finding that pick at the start, and then taking the fight afterwards, and then taking the Baron fight afterwards, and then finding Labrov to kill off all the Barons. They've done the steps they needed to do to get back into this game.
But it feels like KC just managed to pull off these miracles. Like, think back over playoffs where Giant X had the leads, and it's Yike pulling off steal after steal after steal to keep them in the game, to take that 3-0. Now against G2 of all organizations, KC are finding whatever thread they can pull and pull and pull G2 into these fights that they can win.
Caps looking for the Scatter of the Weak, doesn't interrupt the recall. Busio was waiting in a position to find that quickness, has cleansed himself. Great on the Rakan, not something you can too commonly get your hands on. He's gone for the Mikhails too. 4 items now on Caliste. Lord Dominic's regards, joining the Essence and the Navori and the Infinity Edge.
I mean, I will say, G2 not really playing much through their side lanes. I understand why KC feels the need to group, because for most of this game, they've been on the back foot. But G2 have double TP available. They keep stacking as 5 in the mid lane. These side lanes have just kind of been stagnant, which I think that when KC was behind was a good situation for them to be in, because it means that when those waves do eventually catch up, they can catch. They don't have TPs available, so they have to group up in mid. Yike now level 15. The experience gap closed pretty significantly. kyeahoo doing what he can to land what poke he can.
G2 having to step into darkness is Broken Blade's job. With this Predator for the stun. Gnar out from Canna, but BB dodges it. Doesn't get caught against the wall, but still no vision control gained for G2. SkewMond, Wind Becomes Lightning, lands onto 2. Labrov trying to position for that hostile takeover. Yike on the flank, he's spotted on a control ward. You can see how minimal the vision is that G2 have managed to establish here in the river. Now they'll step forward.
And that's what KC are doing a great job of, playing around that vision. Yike only just being spotted. Busio's out in bottom. Busio dodges away with the grand entrance.
kyeahoo trying to push forward here more. SkewMond there, the TP behind by Broken Blade. Yike misses the Vault Breaker, lands the sniper now. Broken Blade on the TP, looking for Caliste, and they'll dive into him. Double GA available. Caliste dies to Hunt Summer. Yike trying to get onto Caps, Broken Blade slicing across. The Gnar from Canna. Hostile takeover. Caps brought back with the bailout, but the unleashed power not enough for him. Meanwhile, on the top side, Canna has a GA of his own. SkewMond trying to survive through it all. The GA on Canna is propped. So is the Odoamne. SkewMond dives back in and kills off Busio. A 2v3 now. Broken Blade goes in with a stride breaker. Yahoo slowed, stunned up, locked up, taken out. But in the end, still, KC win the fight 4-3.
KC threw everything that they had, and it's Canna throwing G2 into a wall that is the wall G2 can't get through.
Unbelievable that Caliste just gets melted at the start of this fight. SkewMond goes monster mode as he basically single-handedly removes the AD carry, but he holds onto his ult, using it at the last second, gets sniped by Hansama. The charm comes through, and then here comes the Mega Gnar. Meanwhile, on the backline, Caps is being soloed by Yike. The jungle is doing so much for both sides. Broken Blade in the brawl. We have to go back to live because the dragon is being secured, but what a back and forth. Junglers, top laners, supports doing everything they can to keep their teams alive.
And crucially, Yahoo stayed up in that fight. Hansama and Broken Blade put all eyes on the KC mid laner, but they couldn't take down the Viktor. He could keep the damage going, and KC, for the first time in this game, have a gold lead in their favor.
I mean, we're seeing more and more how hard it is for G2's comp to really play into this. You've got two melee champions that Xayah really punishes hard, and now they're going to have to face check into this Baron. Can they actually gain the space? This is melting.
Caps is in the bot lane, now he's TPing up to join this party. That's all KC wanted. SkewMond doesn't keep the Baron aggro. G2 will gain control around this. But with Canna and Yahoo having their TPs and BB and Caps not, side lanes become so much trickier for G2.
I mean, you have to imagine that in the G2 camp, they're now asking questions because the fights are getting harder, target acquisition is getting much more complicated, whereas for KC, they're riding the high. The gold swing that they've been able to bring back, the fights that they continue to win, like, the momentum is so much in favor of KC, but now the pressure is being put onto KC as G2 set their sights on the Baron.
Now it's Yahoo's bot lane. G2 to start the Baron to try and draw that teleport out. Yahoo will have to respond to this.
Yike puts the control ward in the pit. SkewMond's going to clear it out. There's the TP in by Yahoo. G2 back away. We've seen this dance before. It's Caliste. It's chunked to half by Caps. Yahoo with a laser will put a little bit of damage back into Broken Blade, but nothing too consequential. Canna dashing away was slowed there.
Caliste has no lifesteal. He has to go back to base.
G2 aren't letting them. They're just chasing down the members of KC, trying to keep them scattered so they can't really get back to base. And then G2 will start up the Baron.
Absolutely.
And Caliste can't do it.
Absolutely.
Has to stay around. Has the red buff. Not enough healing from it. The knock-up onto Hansama is there in that Baron pit. Yahoo's still in the mid lane, now working across. Canna doesn't have the Mega, and G2 immediately turn onto him. Hostile takeover only going to land onto Yahoo. Labrov doesn't find his man with it. Baron resets. G2 back away. What did they get? The Arcane Storm in exchange for the Transcend oneself and the hostile takeover. Canna still looking for the flank.
The red buff has healed up Caliste. Canna in front of him.
The quickness! It's KC all the time as Busio dives onto the backline. It's beautiful for the Karmine Corp as they wipe away G2. SkewMond left standing, but not for long. This arena is blue. SkewMond, though, begins to turn it around. The ball breaker in. He dies. KC now make a beeline for the mid lane, and with 4 still alive, this should be the Nexus.
At the start of this game, it looked like KC would take silver, but by the end, we are going to silver scrapes.
One more for KC. They've done the unthinkable. They won from impossible positions. One more now needed for KC.
What a comeback game for KC.